Hi guys, welcome to the LKB Podcast yet again. Today I've brought on one of my friends called Stacey, who I asked her to come on and she was more than willing because she's at quite a stage in her life. And, there's things that Stacey's a little bit younger than me, and she's in a much different position to me. And I just thought it'd be great to bring her on for a chat. So first of all, hi Stacey.
Hello.
So I know Stacey, and I was thinking this, I was like, and a few people have asked me recently, how do you know Stacey? It's like you've just come on the scene. But actually I've known Stacey, I feel like I've known you a long time.
Yeah.
But maybe not known or socialised with you as much as maybe I've seen you recently. And you were in my brother's year at school.
Year below.
Year below?
Year below,
Oh,
yeah.
Why do I think you're in my brother's year? Oh, there we go. Got that wrong. And also, I've always seen you out and about because we live in the same town. And you're one of those people, which I think is the great thing, that whenever I have been out and about and I see you, usually when we're in a bar or something or a pub, I always gravitate towards you because it's just, when you just click with someone, don't you? So, that's how I know Stacey. Stacey, tell us a bit about you and your journey.
Well, thank you for the introduction.
That's all
and
right.
I also gravitate towards you, so that's a mutual feeling. That's a good sign. So obviously we've grown up in the same town. I went to the local school. There's only one where we
There
live.
is just the one.
That's why everyone knows each other. And then so I left school. Didn't really know what I wanted to do.
Who does?
I know, right? It's so young to be kind of determined what you're going to do for the rest of your life. So I kind of felt like I wanted to get into events. So I went to college. I did travel and tourism, which was the closest kind of thing. They had an events module. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that.
Right.
Went there for a few years and then started in London. So I didn't go to university.
Me neither.
It wasn't it wasn't like a conscious, I'm definitely not going or I am going. It's just that a kind of job opportunity came up and it was kind of in the field that I wanted to do. So I was quite eager to get into London.
Yeah,
I want to go. Yeah,
I want London money.
Yeah, and London nightlife and
London
social life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So started a job in London as an event coordinator. Was sort of in that role. Well, not in that role, but in that company for 10 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah,
school.
Yeah, it was kind of various positions. And then after 10 years, the opportunity came to take voluntary redundancy. They were kind of going through a bit of a change. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to put myself forward because sometimes as well, if you've worked in an organisation from a really young age, even though I think people do respect you, if there are a lot of other people that have been there for the same amount of time, you also kind of are always viewed as that kind of
she's
more
been here years.
younger kind of. Yeah. And also I was like, if I don't leave now, I'll never leave. So did that, was like, I'm going to take some time off and see what I want to do. And then got a job within 3 weeks. So didn't take any time off.
Yeah.
And that is a job, I was sort of working as an executive assistant to a partner. And I've done that for the last 6 years. And I've just left that job.
Oh, okay. So you went from that one from 10 years to your next one to 6 years.
So I'm a long-term
employee.
Yeah. Now, like you say, I'm sort of on a little bit of a crossroads in terms of my decisions as to what I'm going to do next.
Yeah, and with life in general.
Yeah.
And so you're long-term when it comes to work.
I know exactly what you're about to say. Yeah.
But what we wanted to talk about today and what we are going to cover is the fact that you are 35.
Yeah.
And you are single.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not asking you to delve into your past relationships or anything, but tell us a bit about when you left school and then to where you are now and being single and happy.
Yes. Okay, cool. So obviously have had relationships, sort of throughout my kind of later teenage years, 20s, very much single. I say sort of single by choice, not as in I've made a conscious decision that I'm never gonna settle down or be with someone. When I say out of choice, I'm more mean from a perspective of I haven't met the right person, and I kind of feel until you do, I know it's not something that keeps me awake at night because
No.
I'm a little bit, I wouldn't say I'm spiritual, but I do sort of feel like everyone's path is set out and what's meant for you will find you. But yeah, I just think obviously it would be lovely to meet someone.
Yeah.
I'm not massively proactive in doing that, so I should probably be better at that.
So you're not on any of the apps or anything, are you?
I'm not on any of the apps.
No, not that it takes that for everybody.
That being said, I think that, like, I know so many people, that's how they've met.
Yeah.
And also I was talking to a friend the other day and she was saying like about her sister and she was saying, you know, about getting on the apps and stuff. And I was like, yeah, like you wouldn't like look for a new job and think, oh, I'm just going to walk down the street and hopefully I'll find a job. You'd get on LinkedIn. You'd be like, I'm going to network. I'm going to do this.
True.
And then she was like, yeah, exactly. She's like, what apps are you on? And I was like, oh, I'm not.
I'm just hoping he's going to come and find me.
So what a hypocrite. But yeah, I mean, I think now it is, you know, definitely how people meet.
Yeah.
And it's not that I think there's anything wrong with them. I definitely don't. I think there's an idea that, look, it would be lovely to kind of meet someone really organically. And I do meet people. I just,
you are social as well, right? So you've still got, although you're not with anyone and you're not on any apps, but you do go out. You're really chatty, you know, and so that's not going to be, just because you're not on an app doesn't mean you're not going to meet anybody.
Exactly.
So are you kind of thinking that you might join an app soon then?
Potentially. One of my friends is always like, come round next Saturday, we're going to get wine, we're going to set you up. Because like sometimes my friends are like, it'll be so much fun. And I'm like, that's because you're not the one having to do it. But potentially, yeah, I've had like there's been a lot going on in my life the last couple of months and I just haven't had the headspace for it.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, I mean, it's a funny one, isn't it? I think everyone wants to be in love. Everyone wants to be loved. Like, I'm not saying otherwise, but I do think it's like sometimes people go, oh, you're too picky or you're too this. And I'm like,
no, you just know what you want.
Exactly. And surely if you're choosing a life partner, husband, whatever, like, you know.
Be picky.
Yeah, like it's probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest decision you're ever going to make in your life, right?
Absolutely.
Like from a serious aspect, like you've got to align with that person on like, family values, like how you view finances, like, you know, if you choose or are able to have children, like how you'd raise those children, like
and me, wanting to travel for you maybe as 100%,
well. 100%, yeah, you know me, I love to go away.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's such thing as being too picky, and that's like when I say that, I don't mean like I'm like, right, he has to be this height and he has to have this colour eyes and he has to do this, like. It's not about that, but in terms of like...
Your friend's going to be laughing at this guy now. You are like that. You do want him that height. You do want him to have dark hair and you do.
I mean, I'm quite tall, so height is quite a big thing for me.
I am big on the height thing.
But like they will be laughing. But I mean like more as like, I really like my life, you know, and so when, because we're using positive
I love
language,
that.
you know, they need to enhance my life and I need to enhance theirs,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
It's very much a two-way street. So I'm not perfect. I've got things to work on in terms of my approaches to dating and being a bit more open to it. But yeah, I mean.
Also, with the online dating thing, and tell me if it crosses your mind, but the whole safety side of it as well.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've probably watched all the wrong things, like, you know, like some documentary or like Netflix. A film or Netflix stuff where they've gone on a date and then, you know, she's murdered.
Yeah. But I mean, no one wants that.
No, exactly. But I remember saying to someone before, I can't remember who it was, or someone maybe said to me, and I thought, oh, that's a good idea. Like with those dating apps, like don't just jump in and go straight for dinner. Like just go for a coffee. Give them the 15-minute of vetting, right?
100%.
Because then you can just see, is there like chemistry straight away?
Are there red flags here?
Is their photo completely different to how they actually look in real life? I went on a blind date.
Did you?
Oh my God.
I mean, this must have been forever ago.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been with Mark 20 years. And oh my God, I never ever forget it. And I don't know who set us up, but this guy come and picked me up. I left my house. So I obviously didn't want mum and dad to see me being picked up. So I was embarrassed. And then went up the road and he came down the road in I can't remember what car it was, but it was a real like old banger. And not that I'm materialistic, you know, I'm really not. I don't even know what car I'm driving half the time because I'm not into cars at all. But it was really an old banger. And he got out of it and he had these like crocodile style shoes. And he was so nice. And I just sat in the car all the way. We went out in Brentwood.
Right.
and we went to Slug and Lettuce. And I remember I was just sitting opposite. I couldn't tell you his name, nothing. I don't remember anything else, but I remember going upstairs to the toilet and I must have rang Lindsay, probably Lindsay Cornwell or Lindsay Five. And I was like, oh shit, I need to get out of here. You're going to have to
Oh,
come and get me.
no.
I can't remember how I got out of it, whether I got picked up but it was just dreadful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you've got to make these things short just so you can vet them in the first 10,
Yeah,
15
for
minutes. That's my
sure.
advice on my one date that
Yeah,
I've
okay,
had as a
cool.
blind
Thank you.
date.
Thanks, Cilla Black. We've got but yeah, I mean, there's definitely a safety aspect to it,
Yeah,
right? I
of
think like
course.
people I think common sense would be
Yeah.
somewhere public, let someone know the person that you're meeting.
Yeah.
I don't think being picked up by a stranger at your house is necessarily
No, I mean,
safety 101.
I'm guessing he obviously knew someone
Yeah,
because it was
so
a
like a
blind date.
mutual,
So they
yeah.
so, but I couldn't tell you who it was. But wow, yeah. So anyway, Stacey, tell us what do you do with your spare time?
Well, because I'm now, I've been on gardening leave for a period of time, and now I'm sort of just kind of, it's been quite a recent thing.
Yeah.
I'm super into fitness,
Yeah.
as you know, much like yourself.
Yeah.
So, you know, I love Pilates, I love boxing, I love going to the gym. I love walking. I do
Yeah.
also like have a really, really great bunch of friends.
Yeah.
And like you said, I'm really social. So I love like kind of, you know, meeting new people and stuff like that. So at the moment, especially as it's been January,
Yeah.
I have actually been away this month. But generally, yeah, it's like exercise, just catching up with people.
Mhm.
I really kind of now need to have a serious think about like my next step. So I
Yeah.
need to like segment time each day to be kind of focusing on what that might look like.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then of the weekends, just normally there's some wine involved.
Yeah. Love that. Also, let's talk about the fitness side of
Oh.
things because I remember having this. Just pull that up
Yeah,
if you need to. Just getting
Oh.
caught on the wire over it. With the fitness side of things, and we was talking about this last week, and I feel very similar, even though my whole business and work is all about fitness. You were saying about, you know, going to the gym or taking part in classes is what you love doing, and it's just to like maintain a healthy lifestyle. It's not about competing or
Yeah.
forever getting stronger, forever lifting heavier, and I'm exactly the same. So tell us about that, because have you been tried? Has anyone said to you, "Oh, you should train for a certain thing," or do you try and get pushed to do more? And you're like, "No, I'm actually happy. Leave me alone. I'm happy to do what I'm doing."
Yeah, so, like I don't know that I've ever sort of been pushed. I mean, exercise to me, as I said, like I really enjoy it, and it's such a big part of my lifestyle. There was a time when I was just getting into the gym, and I used to like dread having, you know, that when you
Yeah.
first start out. I mean, I wasn't really naturally sporty as a
Yeah, because when did you
child.
start being more
I would
into your
say
fitness?
like definitely over the last sort of like maybe 7 years has been where it's been like a real major part of my life.
Yeah.
And prior to that, it was kind of like I do the odd thing here and there, but like now it's like literally is, you know,
A
such
big part
a
of
big
your
part.
life,
It's a lifestyle, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is,
Right?
100%.
I mean, it kind of stemmed from me. I'm not going to lie. A lot of the reason I work out is for aesthetics reasons,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
we all, you know,
Yeah,
it's,
absolutely. It's a big part of mine.
you know, it's lovely to, you know, and don't get me wrong, we all have body hang-ups 100%, but like it's lovely to see changes and to see, you know, like I just want to be healthy, be toned, like
Mhm.
sort of slim. But, you know, and I do work really hard at that. But also as well as the aesthetic side, for me, it came from like it really helped from a mental health standpoint.
Yeah.
Probably like 8 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, like I went through a really, really bad bout of anxiety, and
Right.
it sort of came out of nowhere. And it was actually quite debilitating. Like,
Really?
yeah, I don't think I've ever like been as honest about, I know like people close to me knew that I was going through it, but like honestly, it was just, and I don't really understand like why it was, you know, I've had like super happy home life, got really great bunch of friends, like I don't know why it kind of reared its ugly head, but I had this period in my life and I just felt horrendous. Like I
Mm.
just couldn't really put my finger on it. You know, it can make you feel very isolated, even though
Mhm.
you do have people around you that you know that you can talk to. My mum and dad were amazing, like my family, my friends. Um, but yeah, it got to the stage where I was just like, what is going on? Like, I've got to take a bit of a handle of this. And I think, especially when you first go through something, like when you first go through it, it's very scary
Mm.
because you're like, oh my God, what is happening? Why do I feel this way? Like, why can't I, like shake this off? And, people who haven't necessarily been through something like that, like they really try to help you. But I think if you never have, like really lucky, but until you do, it's very hard to understand like just how like consuming it can be.
Yeah.
I mean, I still got up and went to work every day. I still like, pushed myself to do things, but just in the back of my mind, I was like, I just feel awful.
And would people at work have known that you were going through that?
No, I don't think so. No, it was like putting on the and that wasn't even for me necessarily a case of like putting a brave face on it to hide it. It was kind of like I was pushing myself to try and act as normal, even though inside I didn't feel normal whatsoever. And I did go to therapy, and you know what? I thought it was like she was really able to help me and find ways of coping. And I actually think therapy is amazing. I don't have it anymore, but like
I think everyone could do with therapy if we could all afford it.
The world would be a better place,
wouldn't it? I need therapy.
I just think it's like it's really. I think the thing with therapy, and again, I haven't had it for a long time, and that's not to say I wouldn't again, or like you say, most of it is cost, right? It's very expensive,
absolutely.
but I think it's just being able to talk to someone who isn't like
doesn't know anything about you.
Yeah, and also like when you talk to family and friends or people that care about you, where they care about you so much, obviously sometimes it's hard for you to just like really like be as open because you then like worry about them worrying about you and whatever. As I said, I've always had like such an open relationship, especially with my parents. Like they're amazing, but like you don't want your mum to then be worrying.
Yeah,
I mean, mums worry all the time. I'm just my mum's like, no matter how old your kids get, you still worry about them. And I'm like, I'm fine, mum, don't worry about me.
Yeah.
But and then exercise came sort of hand in hand with that. I kind of realized that having that like structure, and obviously like with exercise it's like endorphins, and it really helped me to like kind of clear my mind and have a bit of focus. And actually it was a massive like a savior is probably a little bit of a big word for what I'm saying, but it was such a good healthy way for me to kind of fight my way back to where I wanted to be and where I am now. And luckily that's like a really great place. So,
and did you make that decision yourself to start more exercise, or did your therapist kind of push you towards that?
I think it was the therapist. I think I was doing a lot of reading at the time to try and educate myself on like, ways. I didn't go down the medication route. Not to say there's anything wrong with that. I just chose to like try lots of avenues first. So I was kind of doing a lot of reading, and, it was like, that seemed to be a very common, thing. Instagram obviously was a thing then, but not so much as it is now.
No.
I mean, now there's so much information on there. But I think I was just like, right, I think this is something that I can do to like help myself, to kind of heal myself, to make myself feel better.
Yeah.
And that played a massive part. And now I just love it.
That's funny. So do you feel that that's probably one of the major answers to getting you out of where you were?
Yeah,
because
100%.
there's a lot of people, especially now, I think since COVID, it's even worse, that are down.
Yeah.
They're got high anxiety.
Yeah.
Feel alone.
Yeah.
I think also that plays a part in a lot of people that have got children as well, that are especially going into your 40s, and people don't see a way out.
Yeah.
And of course, I always say I think that if only the doctors could turn around and just give people a pair of trainers just to make them go out and start walking and get out, rather than handing over antidepressants.
100%, yeah.
Did you ever go on to antidepressants?
Never. Like mine wasn't. I wasn't depressed. Like a lot of people say they go hand in hand, and I wasn't depressed. I was just anxious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't go down the medication route whatsoever. Again, I like for other people, I know that's been really helpful. I wanted to try and find a way prior to that. So I suppose you could say like exercise was my medicine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree about the doctor thing with the trainers, and also there's like, again, don't quote me on this, but there's some sort of saying that like if you need to have a difficult conversation with someone, or like you need to talk to someone about it, doing it side by side, so doing something like walking or
100%.
is supposedly a lot easier than like sitting at a table opposite someone, not like this.
So going for a drive or going for a walk where they're on the side.
Yeah, and it's supposedly there's something, I think it's like psychologists say
Yeah.
that it makes, you know, having those conversations a lot easier.
Yeah.
So that's also another thing, you know.
100%. And, you know, I'm a massive advocate for, you know, grabbing a coffee and going for a walk
Me
as
too.
we do.
As we
and I
do.
always see you as well doing the
Marching the
same
streets.
with your friends. Talking of anxiety, I feel like a lot of us do suffer with it. Mine is massively heightened when I drink wine, or when I
Yes.
drink in general. Actually, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be wine,
The old-
Prosecco, beer, Aperol, and everything else that I occasionally have. But I think that does heighten it. Do you?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like the hangover anxiety the next day is real. And
anxiety they call it, don't
like,
they?
yeah, and we were talking about it earlier, weren't we? And I was saying, like, even though you know you've done nothing wrong, the
No.
next day you wake up and you're like, oh. But yeah, I do think it contributes, and I think especially like it's easy to mask if people are like suffering anxiety wise. I think it's very easy to mask it with alcohol.
Yeah.
But I think in the long run, it's like a short term fix, right? And long
Vicious
term, I think
circle.
it like makes the problem worse. And it's actually really interesting. I was reading something the other day. I say that like I was reading it on like
Yeah.
the Sunday Times.
What was you reading?
I was reading
Stace?
it. It was
The
on.
Sunday
It was on.
Times.
It was on Instagram. I didn't fact check, so don't quote me. But it said, like, I think it's like 43% of 18 to 35-year-olds no longer drink or choose not to drink alcohol,
Wowzers.
which is like a huge, like, I mean, I think it's great.
I hope that is happening
Yeah.
in a way.
But
I do.
that is like a large percentage,
That is
right?
large.
And especially that kind of younger demographic. Like, I know when we were, like me and my friends were, you know, 16, 17, 18,
yeah.
so on. Like, you know, there was a real, I suppose, like a drinking culture. We were out like Thursday
my
night, Friday night,
God.
Saturday night.
Bottles of cider behind mamazins and things, you know, that was me.
Back a man. Yeah. But like,
2020.
yeah.
Oh my God, strawberry flavour. Threw that up. That was gross. Yeah, you're
But
right.
I think that's so interesting.
I mean, I was drinking cider around the back of Amazon at probably 14, 15,
Yeah.
if I'm honest. I worked in a pub. I was a waitress. I was very familiar with older people. So I wanted to be out. I wanted to be in the pubs.
Yeah.
You could use fake ID back
Fake
then.
ID.
You got yourself in there. I looked older. I acted older.
Yeah.
And yeah, now I look at Linny, my daughter, she's 14.
Yeah.
She don't even go down the town. Like,
No,
she
I
doesn't want
know.
to. She wants to be at home, but with her friends.
Yeah.
She's still really social. And I mean, like you say, the younger generation is changing with those figures, those facts you just gave us from the Sunday Times.
Sunday Times.
She asked me to help her make overnight oats last night.
I know, I love that.
And
That
she's
is
also asked if she can go to the gym. I'm not sure if she needs to, I can't remember the age, what she has to be. And she's talking about things. And all of a sudden, because when I've said to her before, I'm like, come do a workout with me. Or she used to, like when she was younger. And now, like, it's a bit of a status, you know, because some people say things at school. And she's all right with it, though. I'm like, well, let them, Linny. Do you know what I mean? Don't worry about it. But she's now... Because I've said to her before, you'll be taking over LKB Fitness when you're older. She goes, no, I won't.
Oh.
And I'm like,
Thanks.
no, I won't. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm like, well, okay, go girl. That's fine.
Yeah.
And she may change her mind, but she's starting to talk more about fitness and exercise now.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, here it comes.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
Well,
which
that's
is
your
good.
passion, isn't it? So
Yeah.
that's like amazing. But yeah, I do think it's really positive. I think that like now there's definitely like the whole wellness era for like people of our ages older and obviously definitely the younger generation. I mean, they're like super into like skincare and that kind of thing.
Oh my God.
Like we should have started
That's
earlier.
quite ridiculous. That is quite ridiculous, though, the skincare thing with teenagers.
Yeah.
Last year, it wasn't as bad this year. So if you've got 11 or 12-year-olds or something like that, they're the ones that are seeing the TikTok videos and they are asking for products. No word of a lie. Linny's product collection is 10 times better than mine. And I've been the fool that's bought it for her. I don't go, it's only been at Christmas and birthdays because that's all she wanted. And but this stuff is expensive stuff they're asking for. I'm like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So she got a few bits, but yeah, they are very much into their skincare and all that jazz. But
I suppose it's that like it's good that they like want to take care of themselves and stuff, isn't it? I guess it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I
what
think
extreme will it get to
yeah,
at an early
exactly.
age?
I mean, you're hearing now more and more about like obviously not girls Linny's age, but like girls doing like injectables and stuff at like in their like 19, 20, like really super young, and you're like, that is
So
crazy. Like your
young.
skin is so beautiful.
I
Like just
know.
embrace it. And
Goodness
also,
me.
I again this was off a podcast. So this
Okay.
wasn't off Instagram, but it was with like a really popular aesthetics doctor, and she was basically saying that Botox, because I was saying to you, wasn't I haven't done it yet, and I am a bit like, oh, don't I, because I stare at people's foreheads and go, oh my god, your forehead's so smooth and mine's not. But I think that's natural when you don't necessarily love something about
and
yourself.
if it's part of your thoughts, you start looking for it on everybody.
At other people. But she was saying like Botox does lose its potency as in over time.
Yeah.
So it becomes less effective. Right?
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
So if you
as my forehead starts to move today.
So if you're starting that when you're like 19,
Crazy.
by the time that you're like 14, you actually probably might want to start thinking about having it. I'm not saying that's the age, a lot of people do have it in their 30s and stuff. And I totally, like that's absolutely fine. But, if you're doing it that young, by the time you're like older and actually really need it, it won't work on you anymore.
Exactly. What are they going to do then? But I'm sure there'll be something else.
There'll be something else, yeah, 100%. So I'll shut up.
And everyone will be moulding into the same look. That's what they'll be doing. So obviously I just got talking about Linny there, like having a teenager and stuff. Do you worry, because obviously I bet you get asked a lot about, or whether you get asked a lot about having children and the fact that you are 35 and don't. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think people don't, like, whenever people ask you, it comes to like a really good place, and I think that, people, I'm not majorly like, I'm not like desperate to have children. I'm not saying that I wouldn't, but it's not like, a burning desire that if I wasn't to meet someone like soon, I'd be like, right, I'm going to do it on my own.
Yeah.
Because that's not, I'm not a broody person. I love children.
Yeah.
But then that's not to say that when I meet the person that I'm like, oh my God, I love you, I want to spend the rest of my life with you, I might be like, let's have children,
Yes.
So it's definitely not off the table for me.
Yeah.
And I had thought a lot about like, supposedly your egg health or, whatever depletes after 35, like everything else apparently.
Yeah.
So, I have considered, like, I haven't looked into it properly, but whether, I would like to freeze my eggs just as a bit of a, like, it's not even an insurance, because it's no guarantee, but like, it is something that I have thought about because I don't think that children are off the cards for me.
No.
But I also think now as well, like, people are having children much older because for one reason or another, whether people aren't meeting people earlier or they're really like career focused, and generally, people now are kind of in their late, like some people in their late 30s, like early 40s.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely not off the table for me. And it doesn't really offend me when people ask, but that's because I'm not precious about it.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a element of like maybe people that do ask, considering how that may impact that person. As I said, it doesn't really bother me. But like, I mean, I was at my nan's funeral, and someone like one of my like
an old
there,
auntie Joan
it
or
was
something.
it was like a man, but and he was like, oh, have you met anyone yet? I was like, no, and he's like, oh, you better hurry up, the clock's ticking.
Oh, cheers to that.
And like,
cheers.
honestly, would not have meant it offensively,
No.
and it didn't offend me. But when you think,
and
like,
old school wise, they just would have said that,
100%.
and we know a lot more now.
Like,
and
but when you're like, blimey, I'm like, my nan's funeral, like, give me a break. But again,
lucky you're easy going.
Yeah, I'm
not.
not.
Really,
of course,
yeah.
I'm not. It's not something that's triggering for me.
No.
And but equally, it's not just single people, is it? It's like when people like have been married for a certain amount of time, people are like, oh, when are you going to have kids? And
there's always something.
Yeah, and it might be that couple have chosen that right now that isn't for them, or it might be like, and there are people do struggle to conceive.
Yeah.
We've all got friends that I'm
did.
sure that so it's like there's that like sensitivity around that I'm no expert on, but I know that it's something that people do say to me, and I'm like, oh,
okay. No, that's good. I think you've got a great outlook on it, and I'd say most of your friends have got children.
Yeah,
is that the
most
case?
of them. Yeah.
So how do you navigate your friendships in your 30s, being in a different position to most of them?
100%. I would say I'm really fortunate with like the girls that I do have around me.
You seem to have a really lovely group of girls.
I'm very fortunate. I mean, I know everyone
all
thinks
very glamorous.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, I mean, again, I don't necessarily like. Obviously, the dynamic changes. I think the dynamic in friendships change as you get older anyway, right?
Yes.
Because when you're like 18, 19, 20, you're out every night and you're doing this and you're doing that. Obviously, as you get older, like, you know, people's work commitments change, or, you know, people's relationship statuses, whatever. I don't think that mine have particularly changed. I mean, I've got a real vast group of friends. So I have got friends that are single and doing a sort of like similar thing to me. I've got friends that are like, you know, got 2-3 kids. I've got friends that are just having babies. So it's like a real mix. But I think that for me, it hasn't massively changed. Like, I think my friends that have kids, I love being in their kids' lives. And, you know I don't always get as much time as I would like to see them. But like, you know, it's nice to go and spend time with the kids as well. But equally, sometimes, you know, as I'm sure you know, like parenting is hard. Not that I am one, but like so sometimes it's like, let's go and get a wine and like, you know, let's go and do this. Or, you know, I'm maybe on a Sunday when I'm at home and I'm a bit like, oh, it'd be nice to, you know, be doing X, Y, Z, as in like from maybe what they're doing with their families.
Yes.
On the flip side, when I'm laying in bed on a Saturday morning, like with a coffee, just having a leisurely morning, they're like, I'd love to be doing that.
We want to be you.
So, you know, it's very like, I think I don't think, but there are people that like I've spoken to where they do feel like the demographics change slightly with like, you know, that kind of setup if your friends do move on, and not because anyone's intentionally like trying to different, like, you know,
move
not
away
include
from
someone,
friendships.
you know, like, I mean, motherhood is busy, right? Like from, you know, my friend, I've got like a lovely niece and like, you know, I get that it's, you know, and also I think because my life's very busy also, but in a completely different way,
completely
there's
different.
no like, you know, there's no feeling like, well, you haven't got time for me and I haven't got time, you know,
No,
we make it. And when you're really close to people, like, you don't need to literally speak to each other all day, every day.
No,
do you know what I mean?
you
Because
don't need to be in
those
each other's
friendships
pockets.
are so solid that like they're established, and, you know, and you just, it's, So I think for me, I feel very fortunate with the friends that I have. And I also, I love making new friends as well.
Yes.
I know that people do say like, it's really hard to make, like, there's a bit of a
you've got to put
conception
yourself out there.
that it's harder to make, you know, but I think it depends. I find like, you know, just talk to people, be friendly, like, you know, and if you
I
think
mean, you came to my 40th birthday party on your own.
I
said,
know.
You're welcome to be a guest, one of the girls. If you're dating someone, bring him. You came on your own. And so many of my friends have been like, they're always like, who's that really pretty girl? Who's your pretty friend?
That's so sweet.
She's so young. Well, she's 35. She does look very young. And she doesn't have Botox.
Yet.
They're like, bitch. No, but you're just that person, or that kind of person.
Yeah.
So you turned up, and I mean,
it was such a good
obviously
night.
Well on my way with the rosé and everything. So I'm sure you got talking to loads of people.
Rosé
I know. Goodness
But
me.
again, it was like they were like, all your friends are so lovely, and we ended up. I think there were like 3 of us left at the end.
Me, you, Hayley, and who else is it?
Well, Mark was there, wasn't he? Obviously,
and Bully was there, and Rocky.
Yeah,
but
and
they
we
were
were
like,
just
Sue Bowers.
singing Celine Dion in the garden. Oh my goodness!
Oh, it was such a good night. It was so good. I loved it. I was listening to a podcast this morning, actually, of Jess.
Oh my God, I love Jess Halpin.
I love her.
I saw her in Dubai a couple of weeks ago, actually.
Did you see her?
Yeah, we crossed paths. Yeah, she came, we met and we had like coffee. Well, we were on the beach and it was amazing.
Oh my God, I just love her, and I just love her energy and everything. And I've got written down here about you, and you said it earlier about like trusting the universe and things like that. So, and Jess obviously is very into that too. So I was listening to her podcast, and we were actually talking, and this is where it's relative to what we were just discussing with friendships. And she's doing like an agony aunt thing on her podcast now, where people write in a question. Have you listened to it?
No, I haven't.
I think
I
it's
saw
just
her.
out.
I think she just put it on Instagram this morning, right? Because I was like flicking through.
Oh wow, I've gone in quick then. So yeah, I must have seen
your number one listener.
Press play. Never listened to one before, but I thought I'm just going to play that. And then while I was getting ready, and there was a question about a girl, like a group of friends, and she was feeling very left out. And I loved Jess's answers, along with her co-host. And they were saying about sometimes you just outgrow people as well, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's also another book I'm reading at the moment, Let Them by Mel Robbins.
I've heard a lot about this. I've not read it.
It's good. And it's all about just accepting people and letting things happen in your life, because you do sometimes outgrow them,
Yeah.
they outgrow you. And I think that's important to remember with friendships. And like you say, even if you don't see someone as much anymore, sometimes people's paths are different and you do outgrow them. And, Jess spoke a bit on the universe and got her cards out and stuff. And not that I'm a massive believer in all of that kind of stuff, or I'm not a believer. I just don't think about it. But tell us what brings you to saying things like trust in the universe?
So I've actually had a reading with Jess
Have
before.
you?
Yeah, it was just before she moved to Dubai, and I was really like, I don't like at that point. I was a bit like, I don't really know, like, kind of what I believe in, and it's just that it. I think I had this reading with Jess, and when I walked out of there, I was like, it's just really opened up my eyes to the possibilities of
it's such a positive
thing.
like
Reviewing reframing things like, okay, I haven't met the person that I'm gonna end up with yet, but how exciting that's to come. Or I don't know what I'm gonna do with in terms of my next steps. How exciting is that? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think
it's like changing your way of thought, isn't it?
And I think you know what, even I need to get better at it, but I'm quite interested in the whole manifestation thing and things like that. But I do think that even if it doesn't work, if it brings you some peace or some kind of optimism, then what's the harm?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I do kind of, anytime you spend with Jess, you're just like, I'm a believer.
Yeah. It's funny because I had anyone in Essex, well, that's into that kind of stuff, would have been to Rose back in the day in Leigh-on-Sea.
Right,
okay,
I have. Yeah, I don't.
Everyone, and I'm sure Jess may have heard of her, and she might even still be about. I don't know, but I'm talking years ago, and it was when I was in a relationship, wanted out, or it was across paths, and I was like, you just want some answers, and sometimes it does just give you that little bit of light, and. Not that and you don't want to live in hope, because some people I think do really rely on it
100%.
really a lot, and then think and wonder why their life's not happening as they were told
she
by
said
someone.
this
She said this was going to happen. I was going to have twins, a boy and a girl,
and win the lottery, and here I am.
Exactly, but I love it. Mark isn't. When I said to Mark about it, and he's like, "Oh no,
Yeah.
bit of a closed mind to it, to be honest." But I reckon I love it, and I love hearing about it.
Yeah,
and I just love seeing Jess's journey. I wasn't going to bring Jess up today, but it just happened, and because I listened to her podcast this morning.
Yeah.
But I think trust in the universe. And all that. I like it when people have that perspective.
Yeah,
on
just
things.
being obviously
things happening for a reason.
You have to you also have to put the work in. It's not just being right, I'm manifesting this, it's going to happen.
That's what I was going to say about manifestation. You have to put the work in.
You have to kind of follow the steps that are kind of aligning with that vision or that goal. And again, I'm no pro at it. I just I like reading about it and stuff like that in the Times. But I do think that, it's nice to think, or it's more about if something bad happens to you, which I know isn't always the case, because sometimes when something bad happens, it's just bad and you're but if you can kind of reframe that, they say one door closes, another opens, that kind of thing. I know that's not necessarily applicable to all things, really traumatic things. Perhaps that's really difficult to go, oh, that was meant to happen because it's leading me here. I'm not saying that. But the sort of smaller things that we go through, if you can kind of try and reframe it in your mind and be like, okay, that's happened because I'm not meant to be there. I'm not meant to be in that situation or with that person or at that job or, in that aspect, I think if it helps you, then why not?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is about how you think things and the mindset of how you deal with things. So I love that. So tell us, what are your next steps?
Yes.
What are we going to do, Stacey? Now you're not a London girl
Yeah,
anymore,
I know.
At the moment.
Well, I'm going to manifest that I win the lottery. No, I'm joking. So I'm very much at a crossroads in terms of what I'm going to do. I did explore the idea of kind of moving abroad. Maybe a couple of 18 months ago, I was possibly trying to make a bit of a move to LA, just because I have friends there, and it was a bit of an opportunity, but it didn't quite come together. Again, that door closed because obviously it wasn't meant to happen.
It wasn't meant to happen.
But I so by trade, I guess I'm an executive assistant.
Yeah.
I'm a very good executive assistant.
There we go. Does anyone have any jobs out there?
So I'm kind of exploring whether I might do my own thing, kind of a virtual EA kind of agency, and kind of go down the route of that.
You'll be great at that.
fingers crossed. I've
You
kind
will
of
be.
looked into it, and there's definitely kind of like, it's got legs. It's just a case of, putting that into action.
Yeah.
But I think the kind of goal of that would be, then I love to travel, as you know. I'm
Yes.
away a lot, and
Yeah.
um
She is away a lot.
so I would really love it to be able to do something that was able, I could be like, oh, I'm going to go and work from Dubai for a month, or like go and do, X, Y, Z.
That would be cool.
So that's good. I've also I'm really into the kind of whole, not influencer thing whatsoever. I definitely could not be an influencer, but like these communities, much like yours, like communities on Instagram that are based around kind of a kind of certain subject that's quite kind of close to your heart or passionate about. Like, I may sort of go down the route, and this is more of a hobby and not a like kind of money making thing, but like of doing a kind of girl in her 30s, single, kind of explore it, like navigating life and what that means, and kind of, because there are a few, there's already like a couple of, or probably more than a couple, but of kind of accounts out there that have that kind of content. And I just find it really interesting because it is like, I guess at the moment that is like the sort of community that I am in.
Yeah.
And as I said, I feel quite content. I actually feel really content at the moment. But I think it's like really, from speaking to different people out there, like experiences, and just like, I think like whether it would, take off, I don't know. But like, just as more of a hobby, I'm really.
Yeah, that'd be great. So would it be like women your age that are in the same situation?
Yeah, I mean, it would be open. I think the thing is,
because I'm 40, married, and no kid, and I've got 2 kids. So, I mean, I'm not included.
I mean, you are welcome to be a follower.
Am I going to get FOMO?
No, like it's aimed at anyone really. But I suppose like, also as well, just when people are single in their 30s, I'm single in my 30s, haven't been married, haven't had kids, but there's people in their single in their 30s that have come out of relationships or had children, and now and they're now doing the whole single mum thing, which is amazing. Like, it's such a like kind of like not open space, but it's an interesting kind of and I guess it's like talking about what you know, right? I guess that is. I don't want to be like the poster girl for single people. Because
create a cult of single women.
I don't want to look even he's like. I'm not saying that, but I think there's. I think we touched on this before. Like, I think with social media, right, there's some real pros and there's some real cons.
Yeah.
But like the reach that you can get, and the kind of like from a business perspective, or like just anything, there's like, or following pages that do like talk about mental health, or like fitness, relationships. Yeah, I think it's great. Also like, I think what I was saying to you the other day, like, I'm like 35, and sometimes, and I really try not to do this, but you do go on accounts, you're like, oh my God, that person's life looks amazing, or she's this, or she's that, and you're comparing.
Comparison is a thief of
joy. It is, and I really do try not to do it. But I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, God, I'm 35. Like, there's these young girls that are on Instagram, like it must just be a minefield, right?
Yeah.
To like be on there and be like, oh my God, because what I think a lot of people forget, and even like we're all guilty of, I'm sure, is like that is a snippet of like that person's life that you haven't seen them in the morning, like maybe screaming at their children to get out the door to go to school, or 100%. Like woke up like last night, I was sat in my dressing gown with my smock cream on, like that wasn't glam, you didn't see that, like, do you know what I mean? It's like, it is just a snippet.
It is.
So it has like real pros and cons. Sorry, I've kind of
that's all right. No, it's good to talk about, because if you were going to do
there.
that, obviously you'd use social media to try and grow it and create a community. And then the bad side of social media, I mean, I do it all the time, forever. I don't know why I follow so many fitness accounts. I need to remove some because I'm just like, it's bringing me it's good to get ideas, but I think you've definitely got to limit it, otherwise you do start comparing yourself.
100%.
And other people also, there's the comparing yourself, but also when you start doing something and you're putting yourself out there, you then get other people comparing you to what they already follow in the same thing. I'm fitness, so I know I've got loads of people, that friends, family that follow me, but they will be following other fitness people, and they might compare as well. And so you're comparing yourself, and then you feel, but then half the time it's all in our head and no one gives a shit.
It's like I literally don't care about you, and you haven't thought about you once, and you're like, oh,
exactly.
okay.
I feel like I've got dodgy hair going on. Fear of failure as well, right?
Big one. So I feel like that is something that, like, especially with this, like I was thinking of doing this, like maybe doing this business idea, and you there's pros and cons to it all, as we've said, but I think I'm like, oh my God, but what if I do it and it doesn't work? And then like everyone's like, I've told everyone.
But what if you do it and then you fly?
I know.
Oh, we're coming up the best quotes today.
I know, right? But yeah, I think it is fear of fate. You know, even like, yeah, I think there is.
Would you say you failed with much in your life? No.
I don't know. Actually.
Being where you are isn't a failure.
Yeah, no, I don't think No, I mean, obviously, like small fails, everyone has them, right?
Yeah, of course.
But like, no, I don't think I've ever particularly. But then have I massively put myself out there?
Yeah, because then it is challenging.
So...
And there was something I was listening to the other day. It would have been a clip on Instagram or something like that. And, you know, everyone said the fact like I've failed with many things in my business already. I've been online 5 years. I've been in the fitness industry for 8-9 years, and I could look back and have a whole list of things I failed, but it's part of the journey.
Of course it is.
Yeah, and
100%.
you feel like everyone's watching and can see it, but half the people won't know half the things I've done wrong, or feel like I've done wrong. And have I done it wrong? No, I haven't done it wrong. You're just learning the whole time.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think as well, like if you're learning, as long as like if you do fail and then you learn from it, then it puts you in, like you can't just go and be perfect, because then otherwise, you know, these failures are setting you back to then go back harder and stronger. Yeah. I mean, obviously I've followed you for a long time. I think that like you've smashed it. So I know you're saying that there's been failures, but I'm like, oh my God, you smashed it. Like, you've got great following, your content's great. Like, so again, it's internal, isn't it?
It's internal,
and like that self-doubt.
It's like, also I see a lot of things. What is success? If someone said to me, do you see yourself as successful? And I would say, oh God, it wouldn't be a straight yes. And it would be a straight no, would it? No. So, but it's because I always strive for more, and I reckon you'll be the same.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
that's a good thing.
Success is subjective, isn't it?
Yes.
Because, you know, there's, and I saw this on Instagram.
I bet I wonder if it's the same as what I saw the other day.
Where
Did someone share it on the story?
To some people, like success is just having like a healthy mind and a happy home, or doing this. And then it's like, you know, I think when you think of success, the first thing you think of is like the great big house and the great lovely car and you know, all of this. Yeah. And that is like, don't get me wrong, I don't think there's anything wrong with striving for those things. But success comes in so many forms, right? Does. Having like really great relationships with like family, friends, husbands, whatever, you know, peace of mind. I mean, you know, or being like having great health. I think that's, people take health for granted. And, you know, there's been some things recently, not with myself, but like that it's really reinstilled in me, like how, you know, you don't take your health for granted. And so I think that success is, you know, we normally place it on like material things or like financial. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I also have done that, do that to
absolutely.
A degree.
That would be part of mine,
without
a doubt.
But like it's also, there's a lot of other kind of areas of success that we probably have excelled in and don't give ourselves credit for.
The one that came up on my Instagram the other day was about striving for success, and it said, if you're there to pick your kids up from school morning and night, and there's something else there, then you're successful. And I thought, like, you know, if you've created something where you're living your life and you can pick your kids up from school, because a lot of people can't, whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh wow, that is what I do now. Now, if I was in London, I wouldn't have that anymore. So then I thought, no, that is a very successful thing
for you, and a personal, like, you know, personal success. That's something that you are able to do and you love to do.
Yeah,
right?
and I've almost taken it for granted, actually, a little bit. So it's quite nice to see those quotes come up now and again.
Yeah,
but
see?
There we go. Well, anyway, Stacey, that has been awesome. It's so good to get you. Good.
We could chat forever.
Should we go for lunch?
Let's definitely.
Honestly, it's been great to have you on.
Thank you.
I hope everyone listening has enjoyed it. I'm sure you have. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I always feel like my teenage daughter when I say that. And any comments and everything, just put in the comment section. And thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.